a choice right now, between fear and love. It's just a ride.
Out of the dark night of ignorance and into the shining light of truth.
Expanding reality.
A population of citizens capable of critical thinking.
We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are.
There's a level of reality where everything dissolves into an ocean of energy.
We empower our experience by insisting on our authenticity.
That's very profound. Very.
Expanding reality!
Welcome to Expanding Reality. I am your host, Brandon Thomas. On this incredibly dope episode, we talk fabrics and philosophies with Patrizio Arpaia of Forgotten Youth. This goes really deep, guys. We have an amazing time talking about his brand, his journey, but also his absolutely terrifying sleep paralysis encounter that is shocking and terrifying. In fact, I feel I need to warn you. It's really terrifying, Patrizio. But anyway, check this out, guys. As well, if you want to support the Afterthought, we definitely go balls deep in that thing where we talk about New England stone structures that he's been exploring and go really, really deep into that. So check out. It also supports your favorite show down there, but you get access to all this other cool shit too. You want to sign up for the Insider level, then check the links over there, and that's how you can join us for the Insider Hangouts, for which we have one tomorrow night, actually, Saturday night, with Polymath Jenny. She had a phenomenal 3-episode massive thing that she did there on the show. So we're absolutely going to have her over there to talk with everybody for at least 2 hours over on Patreon tomorrow night, Saturday night, the 29th. So if you guys want to, check the link down there on how to subscribe and sign up. And if you could do that before our time to show up there at 6 p.m. Central, then you'll get the link and you can come hang out with us. I really want to encourage everybody to do that. That's the way moving forward, is supporting your favorite show with Value Exchange. We've got a lot of cool stuff going on. Just don't want you to miss out on any of it. So without any further ado, let's get to this amazing conversation with Patrizio Arpaia. Patrizio Arpaia, welcome to this thing, man. You and I have known each other for like 2 years, 2+ and some change, whatever. But we are coming together to celebrate something amazing. It's a collaboration we talked about, about a year and some change ago, something like that. So this has been a long time in the works. I'm grateful to have you on just as a brother, dude. You've joined us for all sorts of expanded content and stuff like that, but this is your time, man, and I want to get the audience familiar with you and familiar with Forgotten Youth, because if you guys have seen the show over the years, you've seen me wear all of his brand. I've got pants, shorts, sweat, t-shirts. Mary's got stuff. We adore you as a person, but we adore your brand, man. So this is not like an advertisement for you. This is a dude, come on, talk about it. I'm passionate about you and what you're doing, and I want you to share this with the audience, because a lot of our audience has already caught you throughout the years as I've tagged you in things, and they're like, oh my God, I have to get that. And they participated with you as well. So I'm super pumped, man. So again, for the audience here, y'all know how this works. All the ways to find him, his website, Instagram, all the other stuff is going to be located diggity down in the show description. Patrizio, in your own words, man, did I miss anything? How are you, dude?
Dude, I'm fantastic. I'm so happy to be here. And yeah, thank you for having me on.
Hell yeah,
Fucking
dude.
Sick.
Well, we're both matching here, and we're going to get to that. But if you don't, just in your own words here, introduce yourself to the audience that is not too familiar here, brother.
Oh, what's going on, y'all? My name is Patrizio Arpaia. I'm the founder and creative director of Forgotten Youth. It's a lifestyle brand, apparel company that celebrates life through knowledge of self, creative expression, adventure, imagination. And how we do that is through surfing, skating, art, music, philosophy, just combining the overall and overarching essence that connects us all through our perception of life and our expanding of reality.
Come out. See, I love it, dude. The philosophy, just everything that you embody is just awesome. So let's start with how it all began, man. How your brand began, because who wakes up one day and just says, hey, I'm going to start a clothing brand and it's called Forgotten Youth, and I want to know about the name and all of that, because it rang so true to, like, when we met, I don't honestly remember how we met. You either reached out because you were a listener, or I reached out and you were already a listener, or something like that. Anyway, we connected, and your name just just rung out to me. I was like, forgotten youth, man. We talk about, healing childhood trauma and all those, missing moments of our childhood, which some of us, would like to have alchemized or changed into something else. And some people spend a lifetime going into ayahuasca sessions saying, where was my youth and how can I change this? And how can I retrocausality my way into something amazing? So let's start with the name and then just tell us how your brand began, man.
Well, we're actually about to hit 10 years in November.
Damn.
So I started this. Thank you. I started it in my early 20s, right when I graduated college. Kind of came up with the idea of wanting to run my own business, some form of entrepreneurship, my last semester. So I was studying for biology with a minor in Italian. And essentially I got hit with, oh, you have to do one more semester. You can't do the 4 years and get your degree that we told you was a part of the curriculum. You got to do a whole nother semester. And I was like, that's crazy. I'm not doing that shit. So it's essentially, I still have those degrees. It's just as a liberal arts degree, which is fine because I realized that I didn't want to pursue the mainstream academic narrative or anything. I just didn't feel like I wanted to follow that path anymore. It just wasn't for me. I wanted to do something more creative. So at that time, for like 5 years prior, I was doing music. So much like you, I started in music and I was a vocalist. So I was really into the aesthetic of the band. I was in charge of coming up with graphics, working with different artists, getting the merch done. Same dude that prints our merch now is the same dude that was doing it back then. So it's been like 13 years of working with the homie, Legacy Printing. So yeah, it's been really sick, but it really started there. There was a moment in my life where, again, it was my last semester of my senior year of college, and I was like, damn, what am I going to do with my life? Like, completely lost, honestly. And then I realized that, like, oh, there was an aspect of me wanting to go into like managing, because I was in a band that we were doing pretty well. We were coming out with a new record, and I kind of realized that I didn't want to be touring on music growing up. Like I was like, oh, where do I see myself now in my early 30s, late 20s? I was like, I don't really know if I want to be touring music. Like, what is something that could sustain me and keep me secure while I'm on the road? Because I enjoy music. And specifically, we were doing metal back in the day. So I was just like screaming vocalist, completely opposite of how I am now. But it was a dope time. And I realized that I want to pursue my own thing. I didn't know what it was. And Forgotten Youth came about where I want to evoke a certain feeling. And in music, it was really all about my anger, my deep emotions that I was dealing with as just, in my early 20s, not knowing what the fuck to do with my life and just writing all my emotions on paper as opposed to like Forgotten Youth, where it's like, I want to be like, loved anime. Still do love anime, but it's just like imagining just like me like floating in clouds, just like staring into space and just like perfectly in the moment. Like that's the feeling I wanted to convey through the brand. And it essentially came from that and just really not regretting anything. That's where the idea of Forgotten Youth came from, because for college, for going biology, it was really just playing it safe. I didn't want to go to college. So it was really just like taking control of my life and really not even knowing it. I was very naive and just it was like more intuitive going into this path. And so eventually I was with music, was doing a band and Forgotten Youth for about a year and a half after making that decision. I used my graduation money, bought an LLC for Forgotten Youth, started my first collection in July, and then the rest is history from there, dude.
It's amazing. Well, I'm grateful you're doing what you're doing. No, it's a perfect way to introduce yourself, man. Get to know you. And it's an amazing brand that you do, and it is woven throughout. You can tell in your posts the way that you market, the way that you're, I don't want to call them marketing campaigns, just the way your awareness campaigns come about for the new things that you launch out. The artists that you work with, which I'd like to talk to you more about, because we've actually worked with one as well, Hannah. She is somebody that you introduced us to. Shout out. She did our logo for our event. I'm actually just going to hold that up for everybody. Isn't that awesome? So that's a hookup from you, dude. Thank you so much. And also you're on Frequency Theorist with us, and one of your band's songs is in that playlist, and you guys can go check that out absolutely for free over there on Patreon. We host that over there, so go check that out. So, where are you going now with your brand? Because you've come so far. Like you said, you've just celebrated 10 years. You've got, so much built up here. You've got a wonderful foundation. You've got Order of the Blooming Rose, which we're going to talk about. And you do more than just clothing, man. You've got ceramics going on. You do your own incense, which we've burned out of. We immediately burned through it. It's amazing. So,
I got some burning right now.
I know. See, you coffee cup, you just do such an amazing variety of things, but it's not like this cookie cutter sort of Shopify, printed on anything kind of thing. Your quality of shirts, like I said, with our stuff, I want Forgotten Youth in the back of anything that we label up. So we're still going to go with you just based on threads alone with all sorts of projects that we're looking forward to, because this is how you build this type of relationship. Is we come together, we see how mutually beneficial this is. I love your shit. You're a fan of the show and all the esoteric topics we talk about. And we're going to get into some of those of your own volition here as well. But how it scales up from here. So what are you looking forward to here with moving forward?
The world, man. There's so much to look forward to, and I feel like this year alone is going to be the time that I look back and be like, oh, like I was really laying the foundations for the next era that I've been wanting to create for years. It's these past 10 years, and we're still on the 9th, but going 11/11 is the 10-year anniversary, which is slowly, quickly and surely coming up. I wish it was slowly but surely, but every time I think about it, I'm like, holy shit.
It's hauling ass. The quickening, man. Time is hauling ass right now. Yeah.
It's nuts. And it's honestly, that's what's been so important for me to acknowledge, especially this year, is I haven't released a full collection since last November. And moving out of the city, coming to Jersey, settling in, still feeling a sense of like needing to continue settling in. Like it's not easy moving and uprooting, like especially when you're living there for almost 10 years. And like I'm a Cancer, I'm like such a homebody, so it's like uprooting like that was really crazy for me, but a dream come true. And like now I feel like the brand is in such a better place to expand authentically in a natural rhythm that, yeah, I've been working on the next stage of what I really want for the next 10 years. Because essentially I've been playing it every year. The goal has always been I want to work a year and a half to 2 years out, and I'm just there, which is sick. So I want to close off this 10-year cycle proper by just like acknowledging so many things that we've achieved and like bringing back old graphics and like really setting the tone for collaborations like the one we're celebrating today. And just, setting a tone for a much more expansive future, because I've been playing it very like, I'd say, playing it real chill, because I'm just putting all my things in a row before actually executing what I want to do. So there's going to be a whole new branding catalog, like foundation, that I've been working with my buddy Danny Sheridan. And yeah, he's done a bunch of different stuff that I feel you would really like too throughout the years. And him and I actually were going to college when I made that decision. Like he became a graphic designer. I started Forgotten Youth. It's cool. It's dope. And like you were just saying earlier, like connecting with people that you resonate with heavy and creating a holistic community of like-minded individuals. And that's really the tone that I'm trying to express moving forward, is like holistic living, making sure that everything you do, everything that you express in life is a reflection of the whole. And that's, that goes with relationships with others, relationship with self, relationship with your work and your environment. And everything is in a symbiotic relationship. And that's something that I really want to evoke. Just like the lifestyle aspect. It's like the philosophy, like I mentioned earlier, is the connection between everyone that's able to relate and resonate with the brand. It's like, if anyone's seen Attack on Titan, it's like the coordinate that connects all Eldians. So
see, it's a total community. It's a total vibe.
Totally.
So Attack on Titans, you think that was a good one?
Dude, I love it.
My nephew is so into that. He is so into the anime. He's tried to get me to watch it so many times. I won't sit down and do that. I won't sit down in front of a TV for that long. It's really weird.
It's a commitment.
I know, it really is.
It's hard to do it nowadays, honestly. When it was like, it stopped now, but like back in the day when it was going hard, like trust me, I can't even sit down and play Elden Ring for more than 20 minutes without being like, I can't do this shit anymore. I just want to go outside.
I
So
love
it's
this.
tough.
Because you're such a fucking nerd too, and I love this. We talk about magic cards and shit like this. You have this Order of the Blooming Rose, and actually, I've got everything here. And in real time, I'm going to tear this thing apart because I have everything set up on this. Do you still offer these? The thing I'm pulling apart here? Okay. So here we go. All right, there we go. All right, he's got a couple left, folks, but this is one of my favorite damn things that I've ever gotten ever. It's a gigantic mouse pad, dude. Showing down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's got everything on it. I absolutely love this thing. So this type of stuff, man, and this is also a game board, right? You do mostly magic cards and stuff like this on it. Just happens to also be a super dope mouse pad.
Yeah, I mean, literally, you can play whatever card game you'd like, but the intention with these is to play Magic with my homies with.
I love it.
Just to have my own pad, like that's sick. That's essentially the reason why a lot of different things come out is because like these are products or just everyday things that would be a part of my life that are forgotten. It's just forgotten. It's sick.
Dude,
it's fun.
So sick. And I love this. And again, you know, you're like your nerd quality. Again, I'd say that that's a term of endearment, man. I mean, that's how we connect over it so much, you know, and the music and everything. And like you said, with the imagination part of this, and I think that's what, you know, you offer us with the things that you're offering here, like your sweatshirt that I've got with the lady on it with the harp, man. That's one of my favorite damn things ever. And every time I wear it, somebody asks about it. It's a way to express yourself in a really unique way because nobody else is out there, you know, wearing these things. It's not an over worn out design or anything. They're completely unique with the artists that you pick, but it's all vibe. And you know, work with folks in the community. So like I said, you know, you and I've sent you a few artists that you're planning to work with in the future. So there's some really cool things that you've got going on, and you're super open to community collaborations rather than I've got it all figured out and I need to, you know, control everything 100%. Like you are absolutely steering the ship, but you've got such a creative understanding to be able to flow with things organically. And again, with how you're growing your brand and just the way that you're speaking here, dude, you're chill as shit. It's amazing that you have such foresight, but with such resolve, you know, and with such patience. I think it's really, really cool. And it just speaks to how you're growing, man. It's awesome. Thank you.
That means a lot because I'd say it was only recently that I've learned to like truly feel confident in saying that, yeah, I've been able to have a certain resolve to the way I flow naturally to everything going on. Cause like there could have been many times this year where I could have like broke under pressure. Like it was gnarly. Just, you know, just like moving out like by myself with my fiance, like that shit was heavy. And then just like really building from the ground up, it was crazy. So it's like, that's what I said, like this year is really a test of my patience and like my resolve to make things like really as bright as possible. And it's just trusting. I had a huge problem with trust. Yeah. And that's a big thing with anyone. Like that's why I resonate so much with podcasters like yourself, because it's like you're really just doing this on your own. Like I'm doing Forgotten Youth on my own. Granted, there are collaborations with different people, but the way I do communications with everyone, like if you have a problem, like you're emailing me, like you're not emailing someone that I'm hired. Like I play all hats. I wear all hats. I play all roles in this. So do you. So it's like, it's hard to connect with people that know what you got to go through to make things happen. And like trusting in the process and being like, oh, like I'm creating this for a reason. Like I'm not putting all this effort and energy into it for nothing. Like it's something that I'm passionate about. I'm not going to let that slip up because of the intrusive thoughts or the constructs that have been built in my psychology since I was a kid. And that's the whole purpose of Forgotten Youth in the first place, is to let go of those constructs anyway. And like, it's crazy because I was just reading about the 7 stages of, what was it? It's in this book real quick. Hold on. I feel like it very much resonates with what we're talking about.
The Emerald Tablet for the audio-only audience.
Oh, yeah. The Emerald Tablet by Dennis William Houck. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but it's just the 7 stages of transformation. And the last step, coagulation, talks about like the way it's symbolized is a golden child coming out of a grave, an open grave. So it's like allowing that adult self of yours that has been rigidly built in like very structural confines of your mind, letting that go and die. And when you do, you're transformed into this golden youth. And that's why I'm so, we can talk about this later on, but like, that's why I'm so attached to occult and esoteric philosophies such as alchemy, because it's unknowingly connected to what I'm doing with Forgotten Youth. Like, that's really at the heart and core of it. That's the message I'm conveying. And it's pretty sick. Like, I was just reading that earlier today and I was like, damn, that'd be a sick graphic. And it's just like, it's so symbolically like on point. Like, that's really the truest essence of our day-to-day life. Like, once you embrace that energy within us, symbolized as that golden child, like that's the youth that we all need to claim to really have a fulfilling life. And that's for whoever. Like, it's not, no one has the same essence. Everyone is uniquely different. I feel like most people fall short of acknowledging that for themselves.
Yes. Yeah, man. I could not agree more. Your childlike wonder is what does need to be maintained here. And you can tell because there's such little emphasis put on it. It's sort of mentioned in half passing, but almost sort of like a revelation of the method. Kind of like they got to tell you, but then they'll keep moving. And
Right.
then they'll like crush you with all this weird stuff and all this, sexually graphic things everywhere. It's just fascinating, the perspective of attempting to maintain a childlike awareness in such a heavy ass world. And then also, when you look out, you see the things, but then also just in your own life. And like you said, you just went through a lot of fucking changes, man. Now, through those, do you give yourself permission to cry through sometimes when you need to? Do you give yourself permission to fucking shout and scream or go in your car and, do whatever you need to just yell or just vent it out? Do you have a way of doing that, or are you just
100%.
like fucking power through it, man?
No. Emotion is the key to actually healing. Like, tapping into those emotions, like crying is not a sign of weakness. Like, it is literally releasing trapped energy within your body. And if you keep that in, that's why people have dis-ease. They get all these different diagnoses. It's like, because, not everyone's meant to be like, I'm going to tough guy this shit all through and I'm not going to show any weakness. It's like, no, like, it's important to cry. It's important to have a shoulder to lean on. So I'm so grateful for my relationship with my fiance, Ariel. Like, she is my peace. And like, being able to completely open myself and be vulnerable in the safety of our own home is really important. So people having a safe space for that is, I'd say, the most important. And yeah, fucking cry, dude. Let it out. Who's judging you? And again, it's yourself. Like, at the end of the day, like, someone else judged you, like, oh, your father judged you, your mother judged you, like, that's all right. It's a lot easier said than done, obviously, but just having that slight change in awareness where it's like, who really is judging me? Like, I'm watching you right now. Like, I'm alone. So who is really judging?
You can feel that dad voice slip in every now and then, or that, how that person was raised with the best information they had at the time from the people that raised them, right?
Right.
And
it's
it is
someone's
this
fault.
No, yeah, but it stops with us, and I love this new
Right.
male generation that's coming out now. We all, are just fine with saying that this is an emotion-based process. We have no problem emoting because it's actually the healthiest thing you can do. It's the healthiest and manliest thing, and guys like yours and mine's eyes that you could do with something like that, which is to vent it properly, right? Fascinating, man. Well, I want to know also about this collaboration shit that we're doing here. So tell me about this awesome shirt that I'm wearing and that you're wearing, and this dope ass sticker that we have here, and this fucking cool ass graphic. So let's talk about this, dude, because I'm so excited about this, man. This is awesome.
Yeah. So essentially, this is the official logo, the bloom. I call it the blooming rose. And it's what truly represents the brand's essence symbolically. The rose, one of the first times we were talking, the rose in esoteric traditions is the highest vibrating symbol. So, and I didn't know that. This is just through my own research that when that came to me. And expanding reality is something that completely resonates with the ideology of the brand. So something that I really wanted to convey was, how does that concept translate into the logo? And how would we be able to make that collaboration seem much, because like there's no need to have Forgotten Youth on there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to really showcase the potential that the brand has to collaborate with different people without having to just be like, this is Forgotten Youth. It's like, you see the center of the rose, you know what it is. You don't have to know what it is. It's still a dope graphic because people because you know how people interact on social media, they don't really, it's hard to grab people's attention. So it's like most people are interacting with like just the image. And if they're able to get past the first paragraph, then they have it, you know, then they're chilling. But like most people aren't going past that. So it's like people would just fuck with that graphic because of what it is. And it's just a testament to its own. It's like expanding reality. The blooming rose is expanding. And it's like, that is a reflection of how we expand our own reality.
It's beautiful, and it works
and
together so fucking well. And it's the colors,
so
yeah. We talked a lot about this coming up. And who actually designed the graphic and did it?
Mason Starkey.
Mason Starkey, shout out, dude! Absolutely love it. So still got some of this stuff available. So thank you so much, man. Again, for this collaboration. I could not be more grateful. I think it's just one of the coolest damn things ever. And yes, the rose, they say, is the highest vibrating physical organic object, I believe, in nature as well. It vibrates at 528 hertz, which is crazy interesting, the heart frequency, right? And it's interesting also when we drop into this sort of the esoteric wisdom about the rose as well. So do you want to go there a little bit? Have you, looked deeper into sort of the Rosicrucian aspect of this, or, just the deeper reality with why roses were so used in esoteric traditions?
I'll be honest with you. No, just because like I know about Rosicrucianism and all that stuff, but like I've more so focused on what that like the rose actually means to me, like channeling the energy that I actually feel the rose conveys, like the message that the rose conveys. I feel like I'm always open, obviously, to like I love how the Tudor rose is very similar to what the rose looks like, which is pretty sick. I mean, the Tudors weren't dope, but at the end of the day, from a branding perspective, you're like, oh,
they were on brand, like the Nazis, right? Don't agree with what they did, but man, exactly. They had it together. Yeah,
crazy branding. But at the end of the day, right? It's just fucking crazy. But yeah, what like outside of the Rosicrucians, like what else?
Dude, it's great. Like the Knights Templar have some interesting things about roses and how they mark different entrances to stuff, and also, like I said, it esoterically ties into sort of that 528 hertz range, heart chakra, this whole tradition with the connection between the deep wisdom and understanding and the blooming. It's an initiation sort of a symbol. So your blooming order of the blooming rose is brilliant because that's an initiatory type of a branding, right? That's like sort of hey, this is we're an order and you need to be initiated to become part of this. And so goes that in alchemy as well. It's a process, but the process of the rose blooming is this understanding of your awakening. It's just this symbolic awareness of that you're sort of, kicking it with this groove. And it's very specific to these esoteric traditions. And it's fascinating, man. It goes way back. It's awesome. But the physical object itself is cool as shit. The whole 528 thing.
I mean, that all in itself is the same stuff that I've just been instilling within it too, like my own philosophy on it. So it's on point.
It's so interesting. Well, and all the carvings of them and everything, and how they're found with such significance. I think Dan Brown kind of covered some shit about the rose as well, because it's analogous to Jesus and of course and Last Scion and whatnot. But dude, there's some wild shit going on in this world. So I mean, you're how old again?
I'll be 32 in 2 weeks.
Right. So you've been on this plane for a minute. What's worldview looking like for you? How much have you changed from little baby Patrizio running around? God, I bet you had curly hair as a kid. Is that right? Yeah, but you were this cute fucking little kid, right? Okay, little cute ass curly hair, little Patrizio running around. How different are you from then? Of course, I know we've all changed, but what is the most significant change from like worldview? We could go religion, you can go like what the structure is, flat earth, any of that. So what's one of the biggest changes you've made in your worldview since you've been around for a minute, from your own observation?
I'd say going back to how I was as a kid. Like growing up, being different, just like not really accepting the child that I was, and like doing my best to fit in with everyone. So I like kind of just kicked all that shit in the back for a long time. And with Forgotten Youth, like I learned to tap back into that. It just naturally, like it wasn't like something that it's like, oh, this is going to be like a spiritual journey for me, running my own business. And then also like it coinciding with my actual inner workings and inner journey. Like it's crazy. So going back to like how tapped into the fantastical essence of the world, like I was never really, history is a huge component of like my hobby now, but like back in the day, I loved fantasy. Like I love the idea of Atlantis. I'm not saying Atlantis is fantasy, but that was how it was conveyed back in the day. And it was just like this myth. So I love mythology. I love tapping into that like aspect of history. And it's like a part of me was like, oh, I can relate to that. Like, that doesn't seem like it's separate from our existence. Like even as a kid, I would like ask those questions. Like even with my parents, I'd be like, what happened to the people before Christ? Like, because I grew up Roman Catholic. I'd be like, what the fuck happened to the people in the BC? Like,
Yeah, they all go
like,
to hell.
oh yeah, they just go to hell or something. I mean,
yeah,
they didn't give me that
up.
answer, but that was just the answer that the church gave. And it was just like, at like 8-10 years old, you're like, what the fuck? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And it's just tapping back into who that kid was is really like that was my journey.
It's
Definitely.
like you're reliving, your childhood through like your own permission. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
fascinating. It's because you're still doing all the cool shit. I still like love the comics and the Legos and the music and art and drawing and all that cool stuff and all the things going on. But now I get to do it and I don't have to ask permission, right?
Exactly, dude. Exactly.
That's fascinating. What a cool turn of events. So do you see this then happening again? Because I mean, you're only, let's say, hopefully about a third, maybe hopefully a lot less than a third of the way through your life here. Do you think that this is just one of those changes and that you'll see another big one coming down the line? And what do you think that'll look like?
Ooh, I don't know. I feel like this has been I was thinking about this the other day, actually, where it's like, I feel like I've gone in cycles of 10 years and this whole year has just been me letting go of the cycle from when I was back then. And in the notes I sent you, there was like a metaphysical experience that happened right before I started thinking about doing my own thing, where it was like in music, I was pretty tormented when it came to like my self acceptance and like all that stuff. Like very like music was an excuse to just be angry at the world and at myself for not understanding. Like it's just the weight of the world and like the emotions that you have. Like you can't understand that shit at that age. Like you'd have to be pretty wise to be able to regulate your emotions like that. So it was just like that same semester, I think it was like in January, I'm living alone, first time living in my own apartment, senior year. I'm fucking ready to go to bed. And it was like, I take a hit of my bowl, go to like, just shut my eyes real quick. I remember that I have a candle lit on against the windows and the blinds are shut, and pretty deep story, but essentially I close my eyes and I realize that I can't open them. So I used to, for my whole youth, I was dealing with sleep paralysis. I would always be going into different states like that, but nothing as crazy as this. And especially when I was going on tour leading up to this event, I was constantly going into it. Like I would always lock up when I'm falling asleep, and there'd be voices right behind my head, just like saying crazy shit, more like cackling, just like tormenting. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just, I was so in my shadow and just so small that I couldn't see that it was like something that I had control of, right? So this leads up to this specific instance where I close my eyes, I go, fall back, chilling in my pillow, can't open my eyes, and I am immediately brought to like this setting where like I'm in the middle of a tempest storm, just like visually. And essentially it's like one side is chill and bright and beautiful, and the other side is like real dark and just treacherous, lightning, thunder, all that stuff. And I'm like in the middle, and I'm still aware. It's like a very lucid dream, yet I'm still aware physically that I have to turn the light off, and that there's now someone breathing on my neck, where it's like very like It's funny because I've never said this publicly, but only like less than 10 people know that this happened when I was 21, where it was like breathing on my neck and it just says fucking kill yourself. And it was like just saying that over and over again. And at that time I was like very depressed. Coming out of it, obviously, this is a time that I really took charge of myself and my sovereignty and all that, because I can't open my eyes. I'm paralyzed. Obviously, I have no idea what my body's like. And I'm kind of just screaming in this vision or this lucid dream where I'm just like, no, like, fuck you. I'm not doing it. I'm not like in that mindset anymore. Like I'm moving past it. Keep saying it. I'm not, it's like I'm holding on to the edge. That song that I put on that playlist is this experience. And, I'm just like, keep screaming in my head, like, fuck you. Like, I'm not doing it. Like, who are you? And essentially it stops. I get out. I still can't see, but my body's contorted in my bed, kind of like an exorcism of like Emily Rose type of thing, where I'm just like, my back is arched and I'm just fucking contorted. My mouth is locked open, like screaming, but like I'm not screaming. It's just like my mouth is open that big. And it's like someone got a soaked towel and like pressed it on my eyes and like just gushing for no reason. I mean, obviously for a reason, but like that's what my body was doing. And then I finally am able to open my eyes and there's a fucking figure staring at me over my bed. And the candlelight is like flickering with this hooded figure just fucking looking down at me. And I'm still contorted. And I'm like, oh my God, what? And then it just fucking zooms out of my bedroom.
What do you mean zooms out? Flew out through the wall?
Like wisped out through my bedroom through the door.
Okay.
And the door was open. Went into the shadows. It was fucking crazy.
That's one of the most terrifying fucking stories I've ever heard in my life, Patrizio.
Really?
Yes. God, there are people out there right now going, yeah, dude, that's fucking terrifying, man.
Yeah.
So, what do you think that was? Do you think that was a walk-in experience, or you were possessed, or was it just like this purging of something that you had in that once you said, hey, I'm not going to kill myself, it needed to go? Like I had no room to still be there. It was like something you battled and conquered.
It was something I dealt with for a long time. And I feel like it was a mix of all those things, because it was as physical as I could be talking to you right now. And I remember it clearly. Like, but I do think that it was, you know, when you're in those states of mind, that's where a lot of these exorcism incidents come from, is because these people are tormented mentally. Like I feel like that negative force or energy attaches itself to those kinds of people with the mentality that they have. And that was totally me growing up, because I had no real emotional security where I was trusting in myself. And when I was getting out of that stage of my life and this scenario happened, it was really a turning point, like my tower moment, where I was like, oh, like I have the power to change this. You know, when there was a time where I was going to like outpatient therapy and they're recommending medication. And I specifically remember being like, it was after the situation, I was like, I feel like I don't need this, because if I got out of the situation without the help of an external crutch, I'd feel so much better about myself, and I would know that anything that comes my way I could overcome, because this is life or death at that point. So it was like, that was really what inspired Forgotten Youth, because right after that I was like, oh, I'm going to start my own brand. Like, it didn't officially come to Forgotten Youth, but Lost in Thought came first, because it was just like really into meditation. That was like the same time where like I was becoming more spiritually like in tune with, you know, meditating. I was always into Buddhism and, you know, obviously aliens and all that shit, but it's like that was the catalyst. So yeah, Lost in Thought came first, then Forgotten Youth came after that. And that came from a sense of not regretting anything. So after that, you know, we were going on tour. I was experiencing a bunch of sense of adventure. And then once I stopped doing music with Forgotten Youth, we were going out and essentially doing tour without the hassle of going to shows and doing load in and, you know, sound checks and all that shit. We were just going to different places and having a blast. Like, been to Iceland, Spain, went to the Canary Islands, fucking went out west a few times, went to Maine a few times, like, and that's obviously COVID threw a monkey wrench and everything, but it was for a necessary purpose. Like I needed to figure out what exactly I wanted to do to make this a long-standing venture. Because without that time, I wouldn't be here talking to you or having the goals and the mindset that I have now without going through all that. So,
God damn. What do you think that's all about, though? Why do you think that we need to experience things that way to go on our route and to redirect in a way that we need to? Like, what's up with that? Why do you think that's the way that we learn?
You mean like going through like that kind of tower moment?
Yeah,
in our
going
lives?
through horrific, what we would call horrific shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When
It's
even
a
some of the
catalyst.
attachments you have were survival anyway. Like, why can't somebody just kind of tap you on the shoulder kindly and say, hey, you don't need to be attached to that anymore, and it'll be okay, instead of it all being sort of ripped apart, you needing to feel this way, which then, you know, it feels like that we're in like a movie, right? That it's sort of scripted for drama. And it's, I don't know, the occupants, I don't think we're big fans of it, you know, inherently, and especially in the moment. So what do you think? I don't know, man. I've you know, because going through it seems to be important, but why do you think it's important?
Ooh, loaded question. But like, it's, I do feel like some people are lucky and don't have to go through shit like that. Right. But like, I feel like there's certain lessons that this is just my own woo-woo perspective, but like, we are already contracted to go through this ahead of time. You know what I'm saying? Like death is a lesson for me in life. And I learned that after all of those incidents. And like, what may be death for me is something else for someone else. You know, it doesn't have to be as crazy as that. Like I've always had an attachment with death that wasn't like, it was completely irrational. Like when I ate mushrooms for the first time, I saw my funeral and I'm like chilling in my casket. And I'm like, I'm not the body. I'm really just a soul within it, just chilling in the body. I was like, oh shit, because I like see people looking down at me, like all that stuff, and I was like, damn, like this is pretty crazy. And I wanted to get out so bad. I was like, oh, I should probably, because I knew that I was hallucinating. And I knew it was a trip, but I also came into it knowing that when I eat mushrooms, this was like at the beginning of me eating mushrooms, that they're going to teach you valuable lessons. Like don't be afraid of those projections in your mind when you're meditating. Just like a movie, just watch it. Or like what Alan Watts says, like invite them in for tea and just hang out with them for a little bit, but allow them to just pass by. Don't let them stay. And I did that. I was like, all right, like I'll just watch this. And then I realized I was like, oh, I'm just separate from this body. Like this was like not watching or reading anything. Like this was just like what came to me in that moment. I was like 26. I was just like, oh, I'm completely separate from this body. Like my soul is not connected to the physical. And it was a crazy experience to realize. And that was like a complete different experience than what I had with that sleep paralysis incident. Yet I still I put them in the same container because like, who knows what that shadow was. You know, people see shadow beings like that in certain situations, and like people who were fans or are fans of the band back in the day would say like, I've had very similar experiences like this. Like this is very real. I also feel like it could just be a projection of the mind and just really what's going on internally, because, you know, I ate, slept, and breathed that music, and the lyrics that I wrote were not the most inspiring. Like they were able to resonate, like you can connect, like, oh, I know what that feeling is, but it was not really like what I do now with Forgotten Youth, where it was just like everything I put into my work is with pure intention. That was very emotionally driven. So everything that was internalized within me was very emotionally driven and not in a positive way. So having that shit just festering for years really just came out like that. And I think that it was just a projection, but it could have also been a physical experience. But you know, I'm open to anything. I'm not really going to be like, no, this is what happened. It's like, yeah, at the end of the day, it was a reflection of my inner workings, and I needed to change it. And that was a catalyst to where we are today. literally 10 years ago. I was 21, so I'm 31, and I went through very similar things. Not as heavy, but it was just really like a totally different set of challenges that I was meant to overcome to see this future of the next 10 years.
It's so wild, because so do you think that we choose this to come here, whatever that means, to come here, we then, for some reason have all this stuff that we either bring with us or that we need to go through to achieve something, because, or let me just give you another one and we'll just talk about it. Or it sometimes feels like you're just sort of free ranging around here and that you get sort of drafted into some spiritual lessons and shit. You just sort of are like, oh, okay. And you squirrel off to that way. And you have like this predisposed disposition to sort of follow these things, and naturally go that way. So are we being tricked into, what do they call it? Ascension here? Or do you think that you really choose this thing? And like to what end then would be the struggle part of it? You know what I'm saying? You choose the struggle too?
Yeah, I would say that. I like that idea of having a predisposition, because many, it's not just like one person goes through the specific experience and another person, there are like groups of people that go through very similar experiences. So I will say, like, what rings true in my heart when I've done research is that everyone is an extension of just one mind, as they say in alchemy, that we're all just a different perspective having a unique experience. But at the end of the day, you return back to one when you're done. And it's just having these experiences, the suffering, whatever, knowing that what you're going through are challenges for you to overcome. At least for me, this is what's helped me remain on the same path, because it's hard to not continue. Like, it's hard to continue, like, especially when you get hit with life obstacles. It's just like, dude, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, what is happening here? Like, how am I going to get through it? I don't know. It's just like, I really think that mental has a lot to do with it. And if you know and trust that life is happening, because that's another thing, is that like life happens to people that think that life is happening to people or to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is this happening to me? At the end of the day, it's the thought that perpetuates the cycle. So like Bruce Lipton talks a lot about how that single thought can really change the way that your life is dictated. And it might sound really dumb and cliche when you think about it. It's like, oh, it's just that easy. You got to do that. And it's like, no, yeah, pretty much. Like, understanding that you got it. It's real simple. But at the end of the day, like, understanding that will help guide you. It's like having a light following you in an RPG, like telling you where to go. Because it's like, no matter what obstacle you face, you're like, all right, I got this. Like, I have the wherewithal. I'm not asking for anyone else for help. I just know that I got this. It's really tough to get there. Like, I'm still learning. And I don't think it's ever like you get to a final spot. Like, even enlightened people are dealing with shit every day. Like, it's how you go through it. Are you going to react? That's another thing that I should mention, is like reacting to instances. Not reacting is the most beneficial thing. Being like, all the time, I used to be like emotionally reactive to different things when it comes to responding to someone or doing a collection. Like, I wanted to release a summer collection on Thursday, and I'm picking up everything on Sunday, and I work Monday through Friday, like 9 to 4:30. Like, I'm like, how the fuck am I going to do this? Like, I was determined until yesterday afternoon to be like, I got this. I'm going to go pick it up, and I'm going to go spend my whole day Sunday. Like, it's the only day off with my fiance. Like, so I'm determined to do it. And I was just like, for what? What are you doing this for? Because fashion and streetwear and all that shit has created a paradigm that we need to keep releasing shit like all the time. Like, that's what it is. Cause like growing up, starting FY, I was like, oh, I'm going to release all the time. I'm on a schedule. Now I don't give a shit. And even being like, I don't give a shit is really tough, because I really want to release some stuff, because at the end of the day, like, you got to make your money back for the stuff that you invested in for your product, and you don't want to have it sitting too long. But at the other end, when you're putting stress into a product or to a creative pursuit that you have, it taints it. And that's the clear awareness that I've made this year. And that's why I didn't, like what we said earlier, this collab has been sitting for a year. And that was so tough for me because I really want to put this out. Like, I think it'd be so much fun just to do it. Like, let's just do it. But like, that's ego. You're like, you're not calm. You're not collected. Like, it'll come when it comes. And that, I feel, is the most important thing, is not pushing yourself to do something. There's no rush. And that's, I feel like we're all rushing. We're like, where are we going?
Russian Guyovich over here just running around.
Just running around, not knowing where to go.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fascinating philosophy, and I dig it. I really do. It's probably the most challenging thing you can do here is just slow the hell down and trust it, because trust needs verification, but you're not going to get verification without trust. And verification is not going to come without the patience that's also required for trust. And so if you muck any of those up along the way, then, okay, you watch it fly by. But it's interesting perspective to really embody that and just to sit back and just be chill. And I'm grateful that you gave us those words and encouraged that, man, because we needed to hear it. So thank you.
I'm just, I don't know. That just all came out. I don't even know, dude. I'm learning as I'm speaking.
I mean, most of the time, and all these conversations are really just you and me, you and I, you and the guests and or whoever here, but really we're just reflections to one another, just saying what each other needs to hear. And the audience that tunes in just happens to get it too. And they're like, oh yeah, I love that. So yes, and the last year, dude, it would have been crazy to do this. And you and I talked about that. That's when I was beginning my dark night of the soul, which I'm not out of yet. And so it's just been this really challenging sort of day by day fucking thing that I'm experiencing right now. And it's okay. Like you, man, I've really taken a real different perspective. I mean, over the past 24 hours with this thing of more of what you've been talking about now. So really what you just said, I'm already sort of at the beginning of embracing. And so it was nice. It's a nice little bump. It's really more personal for me, but I'm going to share it with the audience because they got it too. But it rings an extra bell when you sort of look at it that way. So thank you.
Yeah, of course, dude. Of course. That's what I love so much about conversations like this is that, I don't know, it's tough in the real, outside of the internet to connect with people that really are able to see how you see, you know what I'm saying? It's rare that I'm able to get this deep in a conversation with people that I'm even friends with. Cause it's is this cool? Are you going to be uncomfortable? It's tough to find people that resonate on that same level. So having podcasts, that's why I love listening to your podcast and other homies' podcasts. It's just having those deeper conversations where we can connect and learn in real time. That's what's so important, is just forever being the student and not claiming to be at a certain echelon and be now I'm going to be dictating what's fact and what's not right and all that stuff. It's no, we're all here to learn. And that's really what's beautiful about what we're doing right now.
This whole damn thing feels like a real psychedelic trip in itself. Yes, we have the access to psychedelics. And like you said, going into those, you know that you're going to learn something, right? You know that you're going to get something out of it. And it sort of feels like why we're here as well. So do you think that we just die and we hand the bong to our friend and go, holy shit, that was crazy, man, your turn? Is that what life could be?
Ugh, yeah. I mean, I think it's going to take a minute for people to get there and just be that nonchalant about just be oh yeah, I'm just going to take it for what it it's all just a ride. You know what I'm saying? Not many people are going to see it that way, but I wish it would be that free flowing, because I mean, at the end of the day, we're all looking for freedom. And I think it just feels so far out of touch that nobody really even thinks about pursuing it.
Yeah.
But definitely, even people that you got to have a specific mindset going into mushrooms, and that's everyone's personal preference. I love mushrooms, and if I had to choose, I'd eat mushrooms over weed any day, because it really allows you to. It's not even when you initially start eating mushrooms, you're faced with your deepest fears or all that stuff. I don't know about what your experience was like, but at least for all the people that I've interacted with, like, or I've told before they even, it's like, if some fuck shit happens, just realize that it's just a projection of your mind and you need to let it go. Like, it's coming up for a reason. Allow that to let it go, because then you're opening up space for something so much better to bring into your life. Because, like, you're just holding all this space and energy in your head for what? So when you're eating, you ingest the mushrooms and you go through that little trip, cleanse yourself. But then, like, when people take ayahuasca for the 90th time, they're not really learning anything. It's just, like I said, it all comes down to mental and your intention into it.
It's wild. Because it sort of feels like here that because of your reticular activating system or whatever, that everybody's sort of interpreting reality differently. And so it's sort of like we all are tripping because we're all interpreting things differently. If you've gone on a mushroom hike with anybody, you take a bunch of mushrooms. We did this in Colorado for Chris's wedding. It was awesome.
So sick.
It was stupid. He did 5 different types of mushrooms that he like sang to and danced in front of, and Jennifer did Reiki over and all that stuff. And we made it into this tea the night before, and they did all this stuff to prepare it. And it was just a beautiful everything. And so out on those hikes though, you're looking at things, and of course, yes, you'll say, okay, check this out, guys. But each one of you is seeing something completely different. And it's sort of like this with life. Yeah, we have a bunch of standards where we have like the metric system and things where we can go, yes, this means that. Like, but we don't know exactly what each other is interpreting when we look around, because everybody is interpreting this place differently. And we're all just sort of convincing each other, or attempting to convince each other unauthentically, like at the sacrifice of our authenticity, that we're all living in the same place, having the same experience. And I think that's like the biggest trip, because really, like, before Chris's wedding a couple weeks ago, I wasn't doing mushrooms. I was like a year and some change off of it. And it was just because I had 2 really uncomfortable trips, and not in like I'm being challenged, I'm going to persevere. They were just terrifying, dude. Not in a cool way. So whatever my mind was projecting, I sort of was listening to that when the message is over, hang up the phone kind of a thing. Conversation's over, hang up the phone. So I just wasn't back in the realm. But Chris's wedding, of course, it was super special. I officiated the thing. He made these special mushrooms. Everything I told you about that was why I did it, because I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to come out of retirement, let's do it for this. And same thing. I mean, I had an absolutely outstanding experience, but it wasn't this super profound, like, holy shit. But Chris got a lot of messages. And then Steve, the guy we were with, got, some really interesting communications and things like that. But I don't connect to it like that. So whenever you go into mushroom trips and everything, do you have like friends that you visit? Do you have entities that will actually come to you that you've had conversations with, that you would call an entity that visited you? Do you experience anything like that?
Honestly, no. And when I do, have mushrooms and eat them, like, it's not all the time, but when I do, it's just really just to connect to self. And like, it's really hard, because I got to add that, like, setting and environment is a huge factor into having, an amazing trip, or just really being comfortable. And like, I don't really have those opportunities, like living in the city, like I would feel the buzzing of the light bulb. Like, even like, no matter how hard I could feel to be like present, I'm always like, you're just extra sensitive. I love being in the woods on mushrooms, because like, you feel the woods breathe, like it's breathing. But I always say that the forest is like an air coral reef, because like when you really zoom in, yeah, right. You zoom into the moss and everything is so sick. Like, it's just magnified, and you get to see like we go on hikes, we do all these things, but we're just surface leveling, looking at what the environment is. We don't even know like what is going on, like on base reality for the forest, or those plants. Like, it's totally different. If you just like stand there for a minute, especially if you're on mushrooms, you're able to just like tap into a specific area and just be like, damn, what the fuck is going on over here? And you just appreciate that for what it is. It's not like, well, those are just some fucking sticks with moss on it. It's like, no, dude, that's life happening down there. We can't conceive how life is happening there, because we're just totally different. But it allows you the moment to be like connecting with what's happening. Like, you see ants fighting on the ground, like with like a giant caterpillar or some shit, and it's like, put yourself in the ants position. Like, that's just like some crazy battle that they're fighting to get food. Like, it's very meta, but it's real. Like, when it gives you a perspective that life is happening on all and even above us. Shit, man. I love the idea of giants. So like, I'm sure like us compared to how giants used to walk the realm back in the day, like that's how, they could look at us like that. It's just, we think that we're the pinnacle of reality when we're just one piece of a greater puzzle. That it's crazy that it's like existential when you think about it, like for other people, because they'll think it like that and they're like, what? No, like the idea of giants, that's kind of crazy. Like I never heard of that before. You know what I'm saying? Like it's cool to just talk about.
Yeah. It's what Josh Cutchin calls re-enchanting the world with magic. And I dig that, man.
I love that.
I think it's so fucking important, dude. And yeah, that's what our inner kids want. And that is something that psychedelics offered me, was a new look at nature and a new look at how things connect. And I take it now with me all over the place. You know what I mean? I think my childlike wonder has always been there, but really psychedelics sort of give you that perspective of, like you said, the hypersensitivity is something of note, because you are sitting there and your eyes are just like taking in all of it and you're seeing colors that you just don't normally, and everything is just such a fucking a trip, right? That what was nice also about Chris's batch is it was one of these things, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this type of trip, but when we were walking around, because we were on this amazing hike, everything was gorgeous and like colorful and bright, but it wasn't in motion and fluid. It let you retain some sort of depth perception as you were navigating the forest. But the second you stopped, and if you stopped for more than 30 seconds, man, everything just came alive, and it was just this amazing tapestry of holy shit. But the second you started walking again, it kind of firmed itself back up, recolored, and allowed you to navigate so that you weren't sort of falling into paint. You know what I'm saying? But it was one of the kindest mushroom experiences I've ever had. So I could not recommend tripping with Chris Matthew more. And also we had some of the funniest conversations as well. He was talking about like if a Sasquatch hops out and she's in heat or something like that. And we were like, what do you do, Chris? And he was like, man, I don't know. I think you fucked that Squatch. It was just, we had an amazing time, and it was just so much fun, and we laughed, and I haven't had that much fun on mushrooms, honestly, ever. That was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had. But it does sort of feel like this with life, that if you, in a mushroom trip, if you are, or in any trip, really, any psychedelic, it's sort of the case of what you were talking about reacting. It's sort of a mental game to where you can go in more of a safe space, have those visions pop up, rather than reflect to you in reality like they will do eventually, right? And so if you can handle them in that space and you can alchemize them there, you have, I feel, much less of a chance of them actually manifesting in reality. And when they do, you'll know exactly what you're looking at. You'll know exactly how to feel about it, and know that not offering it any emotion will allow it just to pass through you like weather, like we were talking about. So I think that's the purpose that psychedelics serve, man. They give you this sort of a real great example that this is a mental realm. It's going to fuck with you. And when it fucks with you, here's how to handle it. And if you don't sort of figure that recipe out, because you're going to be challenged, because even with the understanding of that, okay, cool, right? Simple, not easy, and we'll get there. But you take however many decades to like practice that, but then also your astrology sort of will take you out of your ability to face it with such resolve for you. Your Pluto squares, your that time or whatever, but also just cycles throughout. Eclipse seasons are crazy. Like these things just sort of happen around you that also offer you the opportunity to rebalance constantly. Now, in that process, even though we have all the wisdom and everything, it still can feel nauseous for people. So, before we end it here, and we're going to go into an afterthought, so you guys definitely go to the links below and check out all the ways to find Patrizio, of course, but as well, hop on the afterthought with this, because we're going to go deep. You've done a coffee collaboration. We're going to talk about ancient history, some stone structures. I want to talk to you about the vibration of fabrics as well. So this is going to go deep. So guys, join the link down below. What I want to ask you, man, this heavy-ass realm, a lot of energies, even with the wisdom and alchemy that we have, it's tough, man. This is a heavy fucking place. So, brother, send us off with this, man. But what gets you out of bed every morning? What keeps your feet hitting the ground? Why do you keep moving, man?
I keep moving to live, man. If I don't live, we're dead. And I just want to see this life through as best as I can, with as much love as I have, and sharing it with the people that matter most.
Just want to thank that amazing man, for coming by and hanging out and for doing what he's doing. Patrizio, keep moving forward. Everything you're doing, we are a spotlight for, and just cannot wait to see what you got going next. I can't wait to rep, man. Your beautiful, beautiful soul and your philosophy, your vision, and your fabrics are phenomenal. So keep moving forward. I want to encourage everybody to check the links down there to find out how to support him as well. ForgottenYouthSupply.com, as well as his Instagram, all that good stuff. Just go shoot him a little message, tell him he's doing great, if that's all you want to contribute. But even that, guys, goes immeasurably far. So also want to point your attention down there to the Patreon links, and that's your favorite way to support your favorite show over there, because you also get to come join us for these insider hangouts at the correct tier. So check that thing out. Either way, you get access to all of the ad-free content. We were just going back through Polymath Jenny's episodes on YouTube there because we can't get the Patreon on the screen. But either way, we were going back through this thing and just annoyed as shit at all the advertisements. Now, we play all the episodes after a certain point for free over on Patreon, and to my knowledge, they're not throwing ads in them. So if you want, check that out. If it's not for value exchange, just go check us out so you can, have a better viewing experience, uninterrupted, as it were. But if you would like to support, that's the way to do it, and you get access to all the cool stuff as well as the Insider Hangouts, again, of which we have with Polymath Jenny tomorrow night. July, are we in July already? No, June 29th, and that is going to be at 6 p.m. Central. So check the link down there. If you guys support, you'll get the link before the show, and come hang out with us, dude. We'd love to meet you. Love for you just come enjoy all of the things this community has to offer. It is growing and it is beautiful, so come hang out, guys. Want to, wrap this thing up by saying you guys are crushing it. This is a weird fucking place, and keep moving forward and keep just doing all the awesome things, kill them with kindness kind of deal, right? Don't let this place dim your light. I think it's the ultimate season of what we're experiencing here. It never felt heavier in a lot of interesting ways, but also, you've never been more powerful. So keep that in mind always. I've had some times recently where I didn't feel strong enough, but you absolutely are, and I absolutely am, and you absolutely are. So keep moving forward with grace and beauty, guys. Even when it's not graceful, fuck it, man. Just fucking keep moving forward. That's it. Live out of spite. That's okay. That's enough, Show up. I want to thank everybody again for listening, watching, supporting, liking, sharing. I think it's important to tell you to go rate or some shit. If you guys feel like doing that, do it. But anyway, all that's, I'm grateful for any of it if you choose to, though. So this ramble to say, love you all, and thank you for your support and your kindness and your wisdom and your wonderfulness. And to go out into this beautiful place, this realm, this whatever the fuck, and just be nice to everybody you come across. Opening doors is not dead, guys. Pick up a piece of litter. Get the fuck out of the left-hand lane. And above all and anything else, go out into this beautiful fucking weird realm. Just be good to one another. Thank you so much for watching, listening, sharing, all the good things. We'll see you next time.